also record this. Okay. So go to stat, basic stat, one sample t-test. Now data is in column. These are the data. Perform the hypothesis testing. Hypothesis test is mean is 15. Option 95% confidence level. Right tiled test. Okay. And then again okay. Now look at the p-value. 0.008. 0.008 means, what does it mean? It is less than 5%. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
What do you mean by less than 5%? Type 1 error is less than 5%. When my type 1 error is less than 5%, what does it mean?
Confidence level is.
I am very sure my confidence level is more than 95%. I'll tell my boss, this is what is happening. I am 95% confident. I'm 95% confident. This is what is happening. And how are you able to gain the confidence? Because you ensured that your p-value is less than 0.05, right? So now I can reject the null. I am rejecting the null with the 95% confidence. Reject the null hypothesis with 95% confidence. When I reject the null, it simply means your mu is not equal to 15. Your mu is definitely greater than 15. What the company is believing, the team is always completing the transaction within 15 minutes. But when you studied it, you realized that the team is no more completing the transaction within 15 minutes. They are taking more than 15 minutes. So it is evidently proved. You have not just taken one sample, you have taken 13 samples. Out of the 13 samples, you see here, how many samples the team has completed the work within the stipulated time? Second transaction is less than 15 minutes. And then eighth transaction is also less than 15 minutes. All other occasion, they took more than 15 minutes. So that is why you are able to tell with 95% confidence that the transaction time is definitely more than 15 minutes. Hope it is clear to all of you, right?
Yes, sir, clear.
Sir, this Z test and this T test you have taken, sir. This means it in both ways we can do it, or what it is, sir, actually? Means Z I understood.
Okay. Every day you go to your office.
Yeah.
You can go by car also, you can go by bike also.
Yeah.
Finally, you are reaching office only.
Office. Yeah.
But using car is little more safer, right?
Yeah. It will be late, but.
Okay. Some difference is there, but car at least safety is more.
Yeah.
Same way, jet test is more safer, more accurate.
Okay. Okay.
Jet test is more accurate. Whenever the possibility exists for jet test, you must do jet test only.
Okay. Okay. Priority we should give to Z test. Yeah. Okay, sir.
Yeah. If population standard deviation is not known, then you have to go for the T test.
Yeah. T test. Yeah. Okay, sir.
Sir,
Yes.
one doubt. For example, we don't have that exact. We don't know that what is the population. For example, we are having that previously we have taken some sample. Okay, na? So we are having a mean and standard deviation which is known from our previous any supplier. Now we are comparing to new only. So we have taken the sample only. So we should to go with the T test only, na? Correct?
Yes. See, suppose if the company is not providing you the information.
Yeah.
Information is available in the company, but they are not providing. What will you do?
We need to take the sample.
You need to go for the T test only.
T test is.
Right.
And most of the cases, T test will, like as you told, no, sir, we are not getting some of the information. T test only will help. Actually, what I see.
True. If food is not available in the house, we need to order through Swiggy or Zomato only. No other option, right? We have to take it, right? So likewise, when population information is not available, then we'll go for a slightly less accurate method. Less accurate method is T test. And now, again, the slide mode. So the jet test we have seen, T test also we discussed, and the difference in the T test, what do you notice here? What is the difference? When I calculate the jet score, it is not the accurate jet, it is the estimated jet. Why do I say estimated jet? In the place of population standard deviation, you see what I am using.
Sample standard deviation.
Sample
Ah.
standard deviation.
Sample standard deviation will be different from the population standard deviation, right? And so your jet is now 2.79. Earlier it was 2.22, right? And now the similarly for table value of t. Now this score is called t score.
Yeah.
Now the table value of t is 1.78 and it is more. And instead of looking at the jet value and t value repeatedly, you always look at the p value. You always
Yes.
look at the p value and then check whether it is less than 5% or more than 5%. And this is the formula for p value. You can parallelly try t dot dist dot rt, open the bracket, put the t value 2.79 and then degree of freedom. Degree of freedom is how many here? What is degree of freedom?
So 12,
11. Sorry.
12.
13 minus 1.
12, sir, 12.
12.
Correct. 13 minus 1, 12. RT means right tailed, right? So t dot dist dot RT, comma 2.79, comma 12. Do you get this p value? You can use Minitab or you can use,
Yes, sir. 0.008172 something.
that's all.
So this for right tail, correct? Huh? This T
Yes.
is RT.
All right. So we move on.
Sir, I'm not sure because yesterday class I missed the is great right tailed or left tailed or dual tail.
Oh,
we
yesterday
can
class
know.
you missed. What is that yesterday class? Yesterday RK sir conducted, right?
Oh no, yeah, I missed actually because there was one some headache was also there and some meeting
Right,
was
right.
also
No
there.
problem. No. Right tailed means you are checking only the right side of the deviation on the right side is your problem.
Okay.
Left side deviation is not a problem. For example, transaction, if people are completing within 10 minutes, that is
Okay.
good for you. That's not a problem.
Yes.
So rejection is happening only on the right side. Failure is happening only on the right side. And so the study is called right tailed test,
Okay. Okay.
right?
Yeah. Okay.
Sometimes in manufacturing industries, both the side will be a problem because they will
Yeah,
always
okay.
keep tolerance on both right side as well as left side. So for them, it will be two-tailed,
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Sir.
right? So I'm moving to right. This also not required.
Sir, can you go back one slide?
Which slide?
Yeah, just before this.
Which slide? Which slide?
No, just after that one formula is there, sir. That's why I wanted. Yeah. And this is 2 multiply 1 minus normal distribution 0 1 2. This
No, for two-tailed test, you just have to multiply by 2.
Okay. This is for the one tail. That's why.
Yes.
Okay.
See, you can learn all those things in Excel help. Excel will teach you. If moment you type, it will start telling you. Right. Let me show you this problem. Yes. And see here, I think this problem RK sir discussed with you.
Yes.
An analyst in a bank store wants to evaluate a credit card promotion. So it is like a bank is giving a promotion package for a credit card. When promotion is given, what does it mean? You use the card and then no interest. You use the card, there is no cashback. When such promotions are given, what will happen to the purchase? Purchase will go up. People will buy more. Now, I want to understand whether this promotion package is really impacting the purchase amount or not. If it is impacting, what I will do is I will announce the offer, launch the offer in all my branches. So in order to understand whether my package is making sense or not to my customer, I have selected 500 people and 250 people were given the promotion. But another 250 people were given the normal card. And now their purchase over the next 3 months, is monitored. If there is a clear difference or if there is a significant difference in the purchase amount, my conclusion will be the promotion is pushing the sales upward. If the difference is not significant, I will consider redesigning the package. Package is not up to the mark, right? Now, what is this hypothesis testing? What is this hypothesis testing?
Two sample t-test.
Why do you say two sample t-test? What are the two samples here? What is first sample and what is second sample?
Sir,
First
with
to 50, second to
promotion,
50.
without promotion.
Very good. One is credit card with the promotion package. Another thing is
Yes, sir.
credit card with the normal package. So there are two groups. And then data is continuous or discrete?
Continuous.
Continuous, because purchase amount is a continuous data.
Amount always be continuous.
Yeah, whenever continuous data is used, you are using, you can make use of the average. So there are a lot of calculation RK sir could have explained. Let us not worry about it. We can easily understand them. But the point is T statistics. T statistics, you need to compare with the 5% level of significance T score, or otherwise calculate the p-value. The p-value is found to be 0.024. When p-value is 0.024, you can understand it is less than 5%. That means type 1 error is less than 5%. That again means your confidence level in making a conclusion using the data is going to be 95%. You see here, the average purchase of the credit card with the promotion is $1,637. But the other credit card, the 3 months purchase average is $1,566. Now the difference what you see is significant because the p-value is less than 5%. If the p-value is not less than 5%, I will not consider the difference as significant. Can somebody tell me if the p-value is not 0.024 here? Let us say p-value is 0.08009. Now, what does it? How does it matter to you? When I have 0.024, you consider that the difference is significant. For the same difference, when I have 0.09, what does it mean?
0.09.
Greater than 5%.
Yeah,
So-
greater than 5%. So what?
So in that case, if we are going for the 99% confidence interval, it will be significant. But for the
Not
5%,
99, not 99%, 90%.
95%. 95%.
yeah, if our p value is 0.09, you're
Hmm.
saying, na?
What does it mean? 0.09 means what is the percentage of error, type 1 error? 9%.
9%.
Yeah.
So type 1 error, if it is 9, if the type 1 error is permissible up to 10%, then you can say it is significant.
Yes.
But
yes.
for a level of significance of 5%, when you get 9% here, it is not considered significant. Why? Because see, anything we observe, it is due to a chance. There is a chance factor for everything, isn't it?
Yes.
There is also a chance factor, isn't it?
Yes.
Yep. See, anything that we see in our day-to-day life, whatever success we realize, that could be because of our genuine effort. Sometimes it could be because of luck also. Am I right?
Yes.
So that luck factor is called chance factor. What is the percentage of chance factor that exists for you to see these numbers in your study? Here, 2% only exists. That means definitely 97% you are confident that what you observe is because of the influence of a factor, not because of a random chance or chance factor, right? So that is what. So it all depends on your level of significance. When you say 5%, look for less than 5%. When you say 10%, look for less than 10% or less than 0.1. And now the same thing, you can do it in Minitab. So Minitab also throws the same p-value, and so the conclusion is drawn. See, always when you calculate, when you compare the average, you need to know the variance also. For example, I could see two people on the video now. One is Sanjay, other one is Kalanidhi Shaktivel. Imagine Sanjay, gives an exam. He gives an exam 2 times. In one exam he got 60. In other exam he got 80. What is the average score of Sanjay?
70.
70.
And now on the other side, Kalanidhi, in one exam he got 50. In other exam he got 90. What is the average score of Kalanidhi?
70.
70.
75.
Does it mean both are performing in the same manner?
No.
No.
Sir.
So looking at the average, no, will have more meaning if the variances are equal. Right? If the average is more with the Sanjay or more with this Kalanidhi, I will say Kalanidhi is good or Sanjay is good, provided the variance is equal between the data. Right? When India
Variance is equal means it is nearly equal is also okay, no?
See, always we have boundary. Boundary is okay. We allow.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Fine. So when India and Pakistan is playing, we give 11 players on Indian side. Same 11 players on the Pakistan side. Why? We want to balance the situation, isn't it?
Yes.
We want to balance the situation so that the competition is a fair competition. Same way, when you are studying about two groups, the requirement is variances should be equal. So whether the variances are equal or not, you can study. That study is called F test. That study is called F test. And now when I conduct the F test, see here, 0.653 is the p-value. 0.653 means, is it less than 0.05 or more than 0.05? More than 0.05. That means I cannot reject the null. If I cannot reject the null, what does it mean? Variances are equal. Variances equal means variance is nothing but square of standard deviation.
Yes.
So symbolically represented.
Yeah.
Do you all understand what is variance test now? Right. And then we conduct the Z test, we conduct the T test, we conduct the F test. There are many things we are doing. Everything is based on the assumption that our data is normally distributed. Our data is normally distributed. And so you need to check the normality of the data. In order to check the normality of the data, that is another hypothesis testing. That is called Anderson-Darling test. That is called Anderson-Darling test. And generally, what is our belief? Any process will follow normal distribution only. Any data is assumed to be normal data only. So I write the null hypothesis as normally distributed. Alternate hypothesis not normal. Now I calculate the p-value and my p-value is 0.3. When my p-value is 0.3, it is more than 0.05. When it is more than 0.05, can I reject the null? I cannot reject the null. When I cannot reject the null, I will believe the null. What is that? Data is normally distributed. Same is the situation with other data also. So data is normally distributed, variances are equal. So comparison on the mean is making sense in your business. Here, this is called two sample t-test. We'll do the same problem in Minitab. So this is data is promotion. Let me open it. All right. Promotion is available. I think you can see in my screen now, new promotion, standard promotion, right? New promotion, standard promotion. New promotion, 250 data will be there. And standard promotion also, 250 data will be there. This is nothing but continuous data. Go to stat, basic stat, two sample t-test. Data in...
You have clicked one sample actually. You clicked one sample.
Oh, sorry. Cancel. Stat, basic stat, two sample T. Selected. Data in one column. Sample 1 available in column 5. Sample 2 available in column 6. Option. Mean of sample 1 minus mean of sample 2. If mean are equal, difference will be 0. Difference equal to 0 is the null. I'm talking to Minitab in the language of mathematics, right? Confidence level is 95%. What is alternate hypothesis?
It's not equal.
You can make it. Yeah, you can make it two-tiled, you can make it right-tiled, you can make it left-tiled, right? If you make it two-tiled, then final conclusion, you have to look at the data. And now assume equal variance, right? You need to study the variance. That is why we need to study the variance, right? I give OK. Again, I give OK. And now do you see the p-value? 0.024.
Yes.
P-value is 0.024. This is what we have seen. So p-value 0.024 means less than 5%. And so with at 5% level of significance, there is a significant difference in the purchase value.
Yes.
Right? And now let us go and see whether the difference is making a positive impact or negative impact. The new promotion, people on an average buy $1,638. But the
Okay.
normal card, they buy only $1,566. Now, what is the impact? Is it positive or negative?
Positive.
Positive. The impact is positive, right?
71.
Positive.
So now you can take a decision. You can suggest your company to launch the promotion in all your outlet. Now, let us do variance study. Go to stat, basic stat. There is something called two variance. There is something called two variance.
Okay.
So data in one column, sample number 1 in column 5, sample number 2 in column 6, option. When variances are equal, standard deviation will be equal. When standard deviation is equal, ratio of the standard deviation will be equal to 1. That is null.
Yes.
And not equal to means alternate hypothesis, two-tailed. And 95% confidence level. Use test and confidence interval based on normal distribution. That means your data should be normal while conducting the hypothesis testing, because all the formulas are based on normal distribution only, isn't it? So I give okay, and then again I give okay. Now normality test is, sorry, F test is done. Look at the p-value. How much is the p-value?
0.653.
0.653 is more than 5%.
Right.
So variances are equal. Now normality study. Go to stat, basic stat, graphical summary. I want to study the normality for both. So let me select both data. I give okay. So it will generate two histogram for me. Histogram is the QC tool. And now look at the histogram. Use your normal eye and tell me whether your data is normally distributed or not. You don't require distributed normally. Just with your normal eye, you could understand. That is getting confirmed in the p-value. P-value is how much? 0.1. 0.1 is more than 5%. So there is no evidence available to say that the data is abnormal. That means you have to believe data is normal, because that is a common belief. You don't have to worry too much about it. Now similarly the other one. So go to the graph. Probably you can take the second one. Yes, the second one. Now look at the histogram. How is it? This is also looking normal to your eye.
Yeah. Yes.
sir.
Your eye judgment display itself is telling you it is normal, and that is again confirmed with the p-value 0.36, and this is given a special name, Anderson non-linked test. Always check the normality, keep the variances equal, and then proceed. All right.
Sir, there is one more chart will come. No, instead of histogram, there is like a scat like XY bar. Like it will be like a diagonally coming, and it will. I don't remember the chart. Like normality test, it will show in the mini tab. What?
Yeah. That's called a pencil diagram. That's called a
Okay.
pencil diagram. But they will take the logarithmic value of the number. There are different procedures available. Available. Any one procedure, if you are thorough, okay. I think this is the simplest. You go for the graphical summary and then do it.
Yeah.
What you are telling is, after plotting all the points, you keep a pencil, and all the points should be hidden inside the pencil.
Yeah.
Then your data is normal.
Yes.
If some points are coming, beyond that width of the pencil, then we consider it is abnormal, right?
Yeah, like correlation chart, it will come. Like correlation chart, it will. Okay, I got it.
Yes,
sir.
yes. But you're right. Alternate methods are there. You can use anything, and be familiar with one method. And now, what we do is we again go to the slideshow mode. Yeah, slideshow is here. Slideshow is visible. So this case, can somebody tell me, read out this, and let us discuss about what kind of hypothesis testing is required for this.
This time title is not there, sir. For me, no.
What is coming? Title is not there. Yeah, you just have to
So it
read
is
the
challenge.
problem and tell me. Yeah.
Sir, there are two options.
Yes.
One ATM constantly is one sample of 22 ATMs.
Yes.
One on-site and off-site is two option. We
Okay.
found that ATMs
Right.
constantly receives a sample of 22 metal was unutilized. Unutilized.
I'll help you with some input. See here, generally ATMs, they replenish at a particular frequency, isn't it? They have
Yes.
a ATM, maybe once in a day, they come and top up the money, or once in 3 days, they come and top up, or once in a week, they come and top up. And over and above, whenever there is a demand, they will come and top up. All right.
Right.
Yes.
But when a project is conducted, when a study is conducted, it is found that in 22 ATMs, an amount of 800,000 US dollars
Was unutilized.
was always remaining in the ATM unutilized. So is it not blocking the cash flow? If the same bank, if the same bank can use the money for other activities, it will be helpful for the business, right? So they decided to study the ATMs which are where the funds are unutilized, and then for those ATMs they reduced the ceiling amount from $800,000 to $300,000,
Okay.
right? And as a result, what happened? The difference of $500,000 is now available for the bank. They can issue loan and they can do many other things. And now, in order to validate, and what is that? They will validate before the improvement. That means definitely some process changes done. What is the change they need to make? They need to change the frequency of replenishment.
Yeah.
They need to change
They may increase. Okay.
instead of keeping a higher amount and then giving a lesser frequency of replenishment, they reduce the amount and then they increased the frequency of replenishment.
Frequency of replacement. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's how they solved the problem. And here the variable of interest is the cash, unutilized money in the bank, unutilized money in the bank before, and unutilized money in the bank after. Right? The before the project, the unutilized money in the bank is always at the higher level. After the changes in the process, the unutilized money in the bank is at a lower level. So the unutilized balance is a continuous data. Unutilized balance is a continuous data, and you are comparing before process changes and after process changes. And improvement is validated. This is nothing but, again, your two sample t-test. Clear?
Yeah, but if we see only one top paragraph, sir, it will because they are telling that 22 ATMs has been checked in a sample like that. They are telling no, it will show like a overall offset and onset as a only one group. No,
Yes,
like
yes, correct. Offset and onsite they included in single group.
Yeah, one sample Z test for that case. But if we add this line, no, it will change the scenario. No, I'm asking.
No. See,
That was just
how do you say it is Z test? If it is a Z test, then you need to talk about the standard deviation of the population.
Yeah.
That is not available.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Right. So this is the procedure for ANOVA. This is the procedure for ANOVA. You calculate the variance between the sample, calculate the variance within the sample. See, you remember in repeatability, reproducibility, what is repeatability? The variation within the batch. What is reproducibility? the variation between the batch, or variation within the appraiser, variation between the appraiser. Generally, we use standard deviation. Now we are using variance. What is variance? Square of the standard.
Square.
Correct? Variance is square of the standard deviation. So, in your Z score, what is numerator? Deviation. Numerator is deviation. Denominator is standard
Sigma.
deviation. Numerator is deviation. Denominator is standard deviation. What is standard deviation? The deviation within the group.
Yes.
What is deviation in the numerator? The deviation between the group.
Yes.
When you have deviation in the numerator and deviation in the denominator, that is Z score, that is T score. Instead of having deviation, if you have variance, what is variance? Square of the deviation. Variance between the group divided by variance within the group. That is called F score.
Yes.
That is called F score. And how your Z is behaving, similarly F will also behave.
Yeah.
When Z goes more than 1.645, things become significant. Similarly, for F also, there will be a rejection line. Everything will again capture in the p-value. So this is what, so in Z score, we make use of F distribution. We make use of variance. However, decision is arrived on the average. Decision is arrived on the average, right? ANOVA means analysis of variance. Again, the decision is on the average. My average is bigger than your average. Does it mean I am bigger than you? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. If the F score crosses a particular limit. If the p-value goes less than 5%. So this is the logic. And now you can, I think this problem you could have discussed with the RK sir, right?
Yes, sir. We have discussed this.
Sir, sir,
Yes.
Sir, please explain once more repeatability and reproducibility with some example from manufacturing industry, like customized products.
Repeatability is the variation within. Particularly, repeatability is a word used in measurement error only.
Yes, sir.
But the concept is used in all standard deviation, right? For example, in manufacturing, within batch variation. What is within batch variation? I think I talked about it in the control chart. Within batch
Yes,
variation.
sir. Sir, suppose I am producing one component
Okay.
and the lot size is 100.
Okay.
So within that batch, whatever variation will come, that will comes under repeatability.
Yes. You instead of calling it repeatability, you call it within batch variation.
Yes, sir. And reproducibility, say example, in that day, I produce 1000 components in 8 lots.
Okay.
So how it will connect reproducibility?
Earlier you told your batch size is 100.
Yes, sir.
So 100 is produced. Now 100,
Yes, sir.
100 customers are placing order. You give one component to each customer.
Yes, sir.
Do you want every customer to be happy?
Yes, sir.
That means within batch variation should be less. If within batch variation is less, all 100 customers will be happy with your product. Otherwise,
Right, sir.
otherwise definitely 1 or 2 customer will come and make a complaint against you. So it's very important you keep the within batch variation minimum. You cannot eliminate variation. That everybody knows. And so make sure within batch variation is very, very, very low. If it is very, very low, it will become invisible to your customer. And so all 100 customer will be happily continuing the business. Do you understand why are we monitoring within batch variation?
Yes, sir.
Now between
Sir,
batch variation. What
between
is
batch.
between batch variation? I made 100 units in first batch. Now another 100 units in the second batch.
Right, sir.
Why do I have it in batches? Because some restriction is there, isn't it? Some restriction is there. I can produce only 100 in a batch. And then
Right,
another
sir.
100, I will restart the production. That means,
Right.
again, I will load the material and another batch will go on. All right. That means,
Right, sir.
first batch, second batch. The first batch quality and second batch quality. Do you want the same quality, first batch quality as well as second batch quality also? Or can you have
Right, sir.
difference? I want the
Oh,
same,
okay.
right?
Yes, expected same.
Expected is same. And so you are monitoring the between batch variation. How to monitor the between batch variation? The average of the reading in the first batch is compared against the average of the readings in the second batch. If that is
Yes,
same,
sir.
if that is equal, between batch variation is less. You get the point?
Yes, sir.
Right. So that's the thing.
Right, sir.
Clear?
Yes, sir.
Right. So now in ANOVA, there are three vendors, vendor A, vendor B, vendor C. And you are the CEO in the company. You want to understand whether all the three are performing in the same level, or is that someone is performing really better. If someone is performing really better, I will work only with that fellow and then discontinue to the remaining two. Why? Because my organization want to work only with the reputed vendors. So look here, vendor one, the total transaction time is 685. For 100 tasks assigned, he took 685 minutes. For the same set of 100 tasks, vendor 2 took 731 minutes. Vendor 3 took 713 minutes. Now tell me, which vendor is delivering you the results faster? Vendor A or B or C?
Vendor A.
As an ordinary professional, what I will do is, I will renew the contract only with vendor A. I will terminate vendor B and C. But I am not an ordinary professional. I am a black belt. I don't want to play with anyone's life, isn't it?
Yes,
So
sir.
I will make sure my decision is correct in real time. So what I do is, I will first of all calculate the difference. 685 is different from 731 by such some amount. Is that amount of difference what I am seeing is really significant enough to say that vendor A is performing better than vendor B? For example, let's say your performance is monitored in your company, and they are giving a score. And your score is in a year your score is 600. Your score is 600, and your colleague, your best friend only, your colleague score is 601. And now management wants to promote one person to be the head of the department. Now, what is your score? 600. What is your colleague score? 601. And what do you think your management will do?
They cannot decide actually.
They cannot decide. And also imagine, and there are two more people down the line. Two more people down the line is another person. They are also your friend. Their score is 599. Another person's score is 598. Now, if you go blindly with a number, the 601 should be promoted. Am I right?
Yes.
If you go
Yes,
blindly with the number, 601 will be promoted. So 601 will be highly motivated. But how many people will now get demotivated?
Well, all the less than 601 will be demotivated.
All the 601 will be demotivated. At least those who are nearer to 601, all of them will get demotivated. If you want to avoid the situation, always there has to be a border. Always there has to be a border, and only if the person is comfortably clearing the border should be given the priority, right? So that border, the range of the border is has to be crossed. Once the border is coming to an end, a rejection line is drawn. Same way, our statistics. What is the statistics here? I am rounding. Can somebody tell me what is this statistics? This is also a statistics, am I right? What is this called?
Continuous.
685 is summation.
Yeah, summation. Yes.
Average is a statistics, summation also statistics, right? Everything is a
Yes.
statistics. So when this sum of vendor A is significantly lower than sum of vendor B or C, then I will say vendor one is better. But I need to understand the significance. For that only I do all these calculation, and finally I calculate the p-value. What is the p-value? 0.10. 0.10 means the probability of me committing a type 1 error is how much? 10%, 10.3%. If I now I am very clear that when I say vendor A is better, how much error I may commit?
10%.
10%.
That is not fair for my position.
Yeah.
I'm a CEO of the company, right? And I want to take decisions at least with 95% confidence always. So instead of taking an action against B and C, I will simply keep quiet now,
Mhm.
right? I will renew the contract with all the three. I will allow them to continue for some more time till the performance is significantly different. I will continue the contract with all the three. Is it making sense?
Yes.
Yeah, but sir, actually, if a p-value, if it is coming more still like 0.35 or something like that, no, means what will be the ideal case to take decision for p-value?
It should go below 0.05. It should go
Okay.
below 0.05, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Better close to 95. More than 95.
95% confidence means what? What do you mean by 95% confidence? I have taken a decision. I'm saying that I have taken the decision with 95% confidence. What does it mean?
That means almost full confidence.
Almost full confidence, not full confidence, almost 95% confidence only. That means if somebody wanted to repeat the test, somebody repeats the test. See, when I collect the data, how many data I collected? Near about 100 data I collected,
100.
right? Out of the 100, at least 90% of my readings favors vendor A. That is the meaning. That is the 90% confidence level, right? If I get 95% confidence level, then I would have renewed the contract only with A, right? Similarly, imagine if I got 95% confidence, then you are trying to cross verify me. What is the CEO doing? Let me check. You are cross verifying. What do you think your result will tell? Your result will also align with my result. At least 95% of the time. Am I right? If there are 100 people against me, 100 people against me, 100 people are doing the same study parallelly without my knowledge, 95 people at least will make the same decision which I made. You understand the point?
Right, sir.
That
Yes, sir.
means people cannot easily disprove me, right? So what I decided is definitely 95% of the time only. That is the fact. Clear?
Yes. Okay.
All right. So these calculations, are ANOVA calculations. There are a lot of steps involved. So if you understand, well and good. If you don't understand, also don't worry. But I have explained in DOE, isn't it? The correction factor, squared sum,
Yes, sir.
and all those things. Maybe you have to repeatedly practice, and then you can approach me even after few weeks or few months. We can discuss at that moment also. And now ANOVA, the ANOVA is conducted p-value, and for you to perform the ANOVA, the variances should be equal. There are three groups. And now what happened? The variances are equal is evident. 0.723. 0.723 means more than 5%. That means variances are equal. And again, before variance, you need to check the normality. Do you see all the data are normal? Suppose if your data is not normal, what do you mean by that? If data is not normal, what do you mean by that?
The answers are the scoring is not correct for the particular.
Yes,
The
definitely.
data collected.
Your
The data is
is
not collected.
Yeah, data is definitely having more variation.
Yeah.
More variation, more than the normal variation. Normal variation is something. According to normal variation, 99.73% of the data will be at least within control limit. If the data is not normal, you are getting points beyond control limit. If points are beyond control limit, what do you mean by that? There is a special cause. If there is a special cause, is it good to measure the performance? For example, you are not well. You are not well. You are on leave for 10 days. You are on leave for 10 days, and now somebody is auditing your department. Will you accept it?
No.
You are not there last 10 days. Definitely no. things could have gone wrong. And then if they audit, obviously I will be down. Isn't it? So always when your data is not normal, there is no point of proceeding with the study of the performance. Don't conduct any study when your data is not normal. Right? Seriously, your process is under under the influence of a special cause. Fix the special cause and then make a comparison. How is A, how is B, how is C? If things are not normal, and making a comparison is not good, right? And always normality is expected. Agreed? Fine. So what else? Now this variance, when you study more than two groups, that is called what? Bartlett test. When the variance is studied for more than two groups, for two groups, what is called? F test. For more than two groups, it is called Bartlett test or Levin's test. These are all only names. Tomorrow you can keep your name in your company. You design something and then you tell that it is your test. Possible. If you understand your process thoroughly, then you can suggest them a method. You check this method. If you go to many companies, they have their own formula. Do you know? They will tell everything. They will have a thumb rule. 0.25. When you multiply by 0.25, you will get the answer. But nobody knows what is the meaning of 0.25. So something like that. Statistics works like that, right? And according to Bartlett, this procedure we followed, and that is called the Bartlett test. Similarly, Anderson-Darling understood about something, and then he suggested a procedure for normality. And tomorrow, as a black belt, you can suggest something. And now tell me, why do we require ANOVA when we have a two-sample t-test? Like Abhishek was very often telling frequently, sir, t-test is what we use very often. So why not we run the show only with the t-test? Why do we require ANOVA? For example, now how many people are on video? I could see 4 people, including me. Now Trilochana is also switching up. Now there are 5 people, right? Now more than, now Raja also there, right? Now there are 6 people. You exclude me. So excluding me, 1, 2, 3, 5 people are there. I want to now understand, out of the 5, who is going to be the best performer in the black belt program? How do I understand? I will probably conduct a test. Am I right?
Yeah.
I'll probably conduct a test.
Right.
And then, let us say Raja is scoring, maximum mark. And now who is the best performer?
Raja.
Is the best performer. What is this? What is this testing called?
This is
Average.
One sampling.
How many groups are under study now? 5 groups.
5.
5 groups. And then
No.
what is the data I am using? Continuous data or discrete data?
Continuous.
Continuous.
Descriptive.
See, we need to have full clarity on the basics always. What is continuous? What is discrete? Right? If you understand only limited number of values are possible within the range, then it is discrete. For example, 0 to 100. 0 to 100 is the range, right? Range of mark. And now I can give only, let us say the exam is objective type. Our exam is, of course, objective only. We give either 1 mark or we give 0 mark. There is no 0.5, 0.2 business and all. Generally, when a teacher is correcting the paper, he gets, you can see teachers giving 1.5 also, isn't it? Very actively giving 1.5. Some teacher might give 1.6 also, right? When you go to the extent of giving 1.5, 1.6 and everything, that means you are ready to break the interval into any number of values. Then it is continuous. But if you have a fixed mindset, I will give only 5 mark, next mark is 10, the next mark is 15. Then it is discrete. But generally, test mark is considered continuous only. Test mark is considered continuous only. That is why we calculate the average mark and all.
Okay.
Whenever you are calculating average, you can understand, the data is continuous, right? So test mark is continuous only, but because of our convenience, we use it in a discrete format. For example, in Google form, it is easy for me, give 1 mark. And then, if you have not answered wrongly, I will give 0. Only 2 possibilities. But I can always measure it in the continuous fashion also. So test mark is continuous only. And there are 5 groups. I am comparing using a continuous data. This is ANOVA. All right. That is ANOVA. Am I correct or not? Yes or no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
There is one more approach to this. What is one more approach? For example, I have Raja and then Kalanidhi. I will give them a test. Raja and Kalanidhi. And whoever is scoring more will qualify for the next round. Let us say again Raja is scoring good mark. So now Raja has qualified. Kalanidhi disqualified. Now what is the test I conducted? Two sample t-test. Two sample t-test. See, always every time some test is conducted, there is a chance of error. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
That is
Yes.
what we call it type 1 error. Teacher can also make some mistakes while correction. That's called error. And now similarly, I could see Sanjay also, Trilochen Sagu also. I give a separate test for these two. Sanjay and Trilochen write a separate test. Now what is this test? This is again two sample t-test. Right? And now our Trilochen Sagu qualifies. I have one more pair, Abhishek and Sachin. They are also writing a test. Now Abhishek is qualifying. Now how many people are there now? Qualified people, Raja, Trilochen, Abhishek.
3 people.
I want to only select only one person, and that one person will get 1 lakh rupees. Some decision, right? And so what I do, again, I will probably choose two people randomly, Abhishek and Trilochen. Right? Now our Abhishek qualifies. Trilochen, you lost 1 lakh. And now I have only one more who is Raja. Now Raja and Abhishek are given an exam. And now this time, now I will say Abhishek, scores well. And now finally winner is Abhishek. So many series of two sample tests I conducted, and then I finally took the decision, isn't it?
Yes.
Which is better way? Why I am not following this method, rather I am conducting the common test? Why?
Sir, one point I would mention.
Yes.
Every test we are having the 95% confidence only.
Correct.
If we are taking multiple times, so my error will be increased.
That is why we are having ANOVA.
Okay.
We don't want to unnecessarily accumulate the error. So many testing means so much error.
Yes.
So I do it in a single go. Let me face the error once. That's all. And that I will see to that it is limited to 5%. I can say my decision is 95%. But when I do sequence of two sample t-test, every instant it is 95%. But what will happen to my throughput? Throughput will come down drastically. Finally, your confidence level cannot even be 50%.
Yeah. For the 5 only, it is 77% only.
That is why we have ANOVA. Same logic for two proportion test and chi-square test also.
Right.
All right. So now, I think I will quickly show something for you in the correlation and regression. That is also important. So what are these diagrams?
Correlation diagram.
Correlation.
Strong, positive,
These are
negative,
not a correlation diagram. These are scattered diagrams.
Scatter.
Yeah, scatter. Yeah.
Scatter diagram is one of your quality control tool. There will be x-axis, there will be y-axis. The x-axis variable is called a predictor, y-axis variable is called response. And now here, but scatter diagram can help you understand the presence of relationship. Now you see here, you see there is a relationship between x and y.
Yes.
Yes.
Because a pattern is getting formed. Since there is a pattern, you are saying that there is a relationship. What kind of relationship it is? Negative relationship.
Negative.
Whereas here it is positive relationship. Coming here, what is the relationship?
No
relation.
No relationship. Imagine you are going to your children's school in a PT period. All the children are in the ground. Right? You are seeing, will you see the children like this? All of them are playing. They are everywhere in the ground. They are enjoying.
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes in the same playground, you see the children standing like this. What is your understanding when children are standing like this?
Teacher is there somewhere.
Yes, the PT master is there in the ground. PT master is controlling every student, isn't it? So there is a special cause here, but here nothing. So definitely your y variable is under the control of the x variable here. But here your y variable is not under the control of x variable. So scatter diagram is giving you the first clue whether a relationship is there between my x and y or not. Here there is no relationship, whereas here there is a strong relationship. All the students are standing in attention in a single straight line. Definitely no, there is a strong relation. It is positive here, it is negative here. And now the straight line relationship, understanding about the straight line relationship is possible with the Pearson correlation coefficient. He gave a formula. According to the formula, this is called Pearson correlation coefficient. It will range between -1 and +1. -1 and +1. -1 means strong negative or perfect negative correlation. +1 means perfect positive correlation. 0 means no correlation. So 0 to +1 positive correlation. 0 to -1 negative correlation. Up to 0.4 you call it weak correlation. 0.4 to 0.7 you call it moderate correlation. 0.7 to 1 you call it strong correlation. Right? And now I'm showing a graph, a scatter diagram. And now look at the points. Is that all the points are forming a straight line, some pattern?
Yes.
That means relationship is there. That means relationship is positive. It is continuously going up. Is that relationship is strong or weak?
Strong.
Strong, I think.
Strong. Just by using your eye, you can understand whether it is strong or weak. If you have difficulty, calculate the R value. If you have difficulty, calculate the R value. For the same problem, when I calculate the R value, R is found to be 0.97. 0.97 means it comes here.
Yeah.
Right. So this is strong positive. This is strong negative, or you can say even very strong. And this is weak positive. This is weak negative. And this is, what is this? This one, fifth one.
Parabolic.
Fifth one is
Oh, no correlation.
no correlation and then no relation. No correlation, no relation. Last one, no
Strong
correlation.
but non-linear. Strong
No-
but non-linear.
No correlation, but there is relation. No
Yeah, we can say
correlation
non-linear and maybe
Ah.
quadratic or parabolic.
because this coefficient is studying only the linearity. But this is not linearity, this is curvilinear, a parabolic relationship. So scatter diagram is the one which can give you the first clue. Always don't miss to see the scatter diagram. So now coming to the regression. See here, I have plotted the scatter. I calculated the R value. R value how much? 0.97 I told you. Use the formula, you will get, use the formula on data, you will get 0.97. Now in regression, you are seeing some R square value, right? R square is called coefficient of determination. Actually, in correlation, it is called coefficient of determination. Here it is R square only, but it is almost similar to that. R square means 0.97 when I square. What happens? Can somebody tell me? 0.97 into 0.97, how much it is?
It will come down.
That is 0.94.
Yeah.
That is what is R square here. What do you mean by this 94%? 94% of the changes you observed in the Y variable is because of the changes you have made in the X variable. That means your factor is strongly influenced by this predictor. That means your factor is strongly influenced by this X variable. And so this X variable could be the critical factor, could be the root cause. Clear?
Yes.
So R square, when it is more, then then you can explain the variation beautifully. Here R square is 94 means 94% of the variation is explained by your single factor.
Yeah.
That means this data is collected from a particular person. The data is collected from a particular person, let's say Mr. X. For Mr. X, the calories is responsible for the weight gain. Every day he is gaining weight. And why? Because he keeps on increasing the calorie consumption. Every day he is reducing weight. Why? He keeps on reducing the calories. Do you think the same formula will be applicable to your body also?
We are seeing, sir.
That is statistics. Sample can represent only its population, not other population, right? Your body may be sensitive to many other things, not only food. Isn't it possible, right? So some people will have more factor for the weight gain or weight loss, but few people, for this particular person, the single factor is deciding his weight. He can easily control the weight. He can reduce the weight. He can increase the weight because he is not having any other problem. All right. And now the regression equation is this. How this equation came? Weight gain equal to minus 754 point this plus 0.4. I think, yeah, this can be explained here. Minus 754.6. What is M here? It is nothing but y equal to mx plus c. All of you studied?
Yes, sir.
What is M here?
Slope.
Slope of the straight line. We all studied in school itself. M is the slope of the curve. So you draw the regression line, find out the slope. In order to find out the slope, you draw a vertical and a horizontal. At any point, you draw a horizontal and then extend the vertical. Now this vertical line length is delta y. This is delta x. Delta y by delta x is equal to the m. Trigonometrically, it can be determined. You calculate the theta here. Opposite side by adjacent side. That will be tan theta. In the place of m, you can put tan theta also. Or in the place of m, you can put del y by del x. Now you know how to get the m?
Yeah.
Yes.
Now C also can be determined. Extend the curve. It will meet the y-axis at some point. Wherever it meets, that is the intercept. Since it is meeting below the origin, it is minus 754.6. Right? And the entire equation is now written by you. Is written by you. You don't have to depend on software. What is required for that? This scatter diagram is required. Clear? If you have a scatter diagram, draw a line and then you yourself find out the M, you yourself find out the C. And now what is this 0.4631 is telling you? What is this 0.4631 is telling you?
Where it meets the y-axis.
No, it meets the y-axis at C. C is minus 754. 0.4631, is it positive or negative?
Positive.
Positive.
Do you see a positive relationship here going up?
Yes.
And then 0.4631 means when I increase the x variable by 1 unit, my y variable will increase by only half unit, approximately half. 0.46 times only y will increase when every single unit increase of x. So what do you want to achieve in y depends on how do you change your x. And the changing pattern is understood by looking at this number. See here, x is increased by 1 unit. Y is also increased by 1 unit. Do you see 1 here? Y equal to x means y equal to 1x.
Yes.
Here, when I increase x by 1 unit, y is increasing by 2 unit. What is the equation of this line? Y equal to
2x.
2x. So regression coefficient is telling you what will happen to your y when you make changes in the x. For every single unit increase in the x, y will increase by an amount equal to the regression coefficient.
Yes.
And now see here, when we frame the equation, we simply assume that all the points lie on the line. But actually all the points are not lying on the line. So we make an assumption. We bring the point downward or we pull the point upward. The amount by which you pull the point downward or upward is called deviation. The average deviation is called standard deviation. The average deviation is called standard deviation. More the deviation, more will be the error and lesser will be the predicting capacity of your regression equation, right? And so see to that the deviation is minimum, and that is why you are using a principle called principle of least square. And this is getting reflected in your regression model. Any regression model, I think it will come. In any regression model, see here. You see the S here?
Yes.
This S is reflection of the deviation you are seeing. This deviation should not be higher. If this deviation is higher, confidence interval will be wider. Do you want a wider confidence interval?
No.
I'm telling you, all of you will score your black belt between 0 and 100. How many of you will appreciate my statement? Nobody, right? So if you keep the confidence interval wider, that will not know, that's not required. Everybody knows. If you predict something with a lesser confidence interval, that is what people know will like from you. So you can keep your confidence interval narrower by reducing the standard deviation. Clear? So S needs to be minimum, R square needs to be more than 90%. And predicted R square should also be more than 90%. When predicted R square is more than 90%, your equation and the real time, the output will be same. If you get predicted R square equal to close to 100%, whatever your equation is telling, same thing will happen in the real time. That's it. So this is about correlation and regression. Because correlation and regression is very important, because once you frame the regression equation properly, you can offer solution to the problem.
Yes.
So I would like to stop here.